chief of bandits. Down, down with the rule of the military. And in Arabic it goes this way. شال مبارك جابوا شيخ منصر. شال مبارك جابوا شيخ منصر. Free, free Egypt! Free, free Egypt! Free, free Egypt! Free, free Egypt! Sara, Sara, حتى الناس! 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 Hey, hey, Kaptawi, hey! Hey, hey, Kaptawi, hey! How many people did you kill today? How many people did you kill today? How many kids did you kill today? Free, free Egypt! Free, free Egypt!
Raymond, why are you here? We're here in solidarity with the Egyptian people because they, in the wake of the revolution in Tunisia, they started their own revolution in Tahrir Square. They got rid of their Western-backed dictator, Mubarak, who has been replaced by a military dictatorship. Now they're out in the same square again, starting from scratch and being killed all over again. They're extraordinarily inspiring. They're transforming the Arab world and probably the whole world. So that's why we're here.
Yeah, all right, thank you. Thank you now.
Comrades, friends, brothers and sisters, I just, I think that it is only proper that we stand here in front of the embassy who represent the killers of the people in Tahrir Square. It's only proper to remember our martyrs, to remember those people who died for democracy and freedom, not only for Egypt, but for the world. I call upon you to stand together, shoulder and shoulder, shoulder to shoulder, in silence, in prayer and meditation, in respect for the blood and souls of the martyrs. Let us stand in silence and prayer and meditation for 1 minute. Thank you very much. Let us, even if we do not know all their names, nor know their faces, let us keep their memory and what they died for, alive and alive in our hearts and in our minds and in our actions. Whenever there is injustice, we should fight it in their honor. Whenever there is oppression, we should fight for justice for ourselves and in their honor. Let us keep their memory alive in the best way possible, that is to fight everywhere in the world for freedom, bread and social justice. Thank you very much. Freedom, bread and social justice! 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 Freedom, bread and social justice!
Joe Higgins TD has just arrived, and maybe we're glad to have him here. Maybe he'd say a few words to us as well.
Hello, Joe.
Friends, comrades, I'm just here like everybody here in solidarity with the victims of the Egyptian military in Tahrir Square, their families and all those who have been injured in recent days. And I bring again the solidarity of the Socialist Party and I'm sure Richard, along with Richard and the other United Left TDs, our solidarity, but also our determination that in the next few days we will demand that the Irish government should involve itself with the European Union in putting massive pressure on the Egyptian regime and use the extensive links between the EU and the Egyptian regime in terms of trade and so forth to call off the massive repression that is now happening. It is really a tragedy that after such a huge sacrifice by the working class, the poor, the students, the youth of Egypt, that having removed a vicious dictator, that the dictatorship in fact continues simply with some different faces. And I think what that points out quite clearly is we don't need, and the people in the magnificent revolutions in the Arab world don't need just to remove faces, but to change the system as well. And of course what is immediately needed is the fullest democratic and civil rights for each Egyptian citizen. The right to elect a free assembly, the right to freedom of assembly, trade union activism without harassment by the state forces, the right to fight indeed for a different society. I think we also need to say that obviously what the revolutionary movement means for millions, tens of millions of Egyptian people and the poor is not just a change of government, but also a change in the conditions of life and the change of a system that would end the grinding poverty for millions of the Egyptian people up and down that country, while that country at the same time has enormous wealth, but that is in a very, very few hands, including in the hands of the military. Therefore, let us renew our call of full solidarity, immediate democratic rights, immediate election to a constituent assembly, and let us also stand for the right of the people of Egypt and indeed the Middle East to have all outside and imperialist influence removed, the multinational companies and their robbery of the resources and the peoples of those areas removed, and put the resources and all aspects of society under the democratic ownership and control of the people of Egypt and the people of the Middle East themselves, and on that basis lay the ground for a life of comfort, of dignity, of enough and plenty, which can be guaranteed for every human being, and then full democratic, religious and civil rights, so that the people can for the first time live a life of true human dignity, of freedom, free from the type of dictatorship under which they have struggled for so many years, and free also from the utter hypocrisy of the Western regimes, including the European Union, which promise to be zones and fighters for democracy, but in reality collude and continue to collude with vicious dictatorships. Thank you, comrades.
Free, free Egypt!
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 Okay, it's very important also always at a demonstration like this, when we are talking about events in the Middle East and Egypt, to raise the question of Palestine and the people who are being persecuted in the most horrific way for decades and decades, and how the revolution in Egypt is a very important part of the struggle to liberate Palestine. So I could introduce Raymond Dean from the Ireland-Palestine Solidarity Campaign.
Hate these things. Down the years in the Palestine Solidarity Campaign, I've often stood beside people from Egypt and from Tunisia. And these people have often said to me, yeah, we come out and we demonstrate for the Palestinians because there's nothing to demonstrate for in relation to our own countries, because our own people are in a coma. I've very often heard this phrase, particularly from Egyptian friends, our people are in a coma. Well, those people woke up from their coma, and in their awakening they have woken up the entire world. And one of the first countries that woke up a little bit, let's not forget this, was Israel. Because after Tahrir Square, one of the first squares to break out in public demonstrations was in Tel Aviv, in Israel, where thousands of people camped out, and I think this was in fact the first occupation after Tahrir Square. Now, unfortunately, those people were reluctant to make the connection. They talked about their own economic rights. They were unable to see the link between the occupation of the Palestinian territories, between the illegal colonization, the settlement building in the Palestinian territories, and the social dismantling of their own society, the economic dismantling of their own society. But slowly but surely, a spark has been lit there, and I believe that spark will also ignite something eventually. The Egyptian people made that connection, and the Egyptian people drove out the Israeli ambassador. And I keep reading in Haaretz, the Israeli newspaper, oh, the ambassador is about to come back. I believe that the Egyptian people will not let the ambassador back to their country, the ambassador of Israel, even though naturally the military regime would like nothing better than to see their old ally back in the saddle. And we in this country should also be trying to get the Israeli ambassador out of this country, because the crimes that Israel is committing against the Palestinian people have some echo in the crimes they have committed against Irish people, such as the people in the Freedom Waves on the MV Saoirse, who were kidnapped in international waters and taken violently to Israel and kept in prison for a week before being thrown out after very little, very weak representations were made by our own government. So we must call for the Israeli ambassador to be thrown out. Next Thursday, there begins a film festival here in Dublin, in Filmbase, organized by the Embassy of Israel, organized by the Israeli government. It's called Israeli Film Days. It starts at 6 o'clock in the evening on Thursday. The Ireland-Palestine Solidarity Campaign is calling for a series of demonstrations. Maybe we could even have one on the Saturday on the way out to here. Outside Filmbase, because that festival is going on for 4 days. At 6 o'clock on Saturday, we will be demonstrating at 5:30 on Saturday against this propaganda festival to whitewash the rogue Israeli regime with the support of the Israeli government. And we say shame on Filmbase, a publicly supported Irish cultural institution that has lent itself to this barbarous piece of propaganda. Thank you.
Yeah? Wasim from Egypt.
It's not the first time they kill us, is it? It is said that 30 people, 30 demonstrators, 30 of the sons and daughters of the revolution died in the last couple of days. But the army, they had killed us before, didn't they? On the 9th of October, didn't they kill 28 Christians and Muslims who were asking for equality and democracy? And that day they said, after so much pressure on them, they said, we don't know really who shot at those 28 people. Because the army didn't have any bullets and didn't have any arms that day. They said, we didn't even know who were driving the military armored vehicles who rolled over the people and killed them. And today, the Minister of Interior said that we haven't shot even a single shot at the demonstrators. He said that it seems there's another group of people who are killing both the demonstrators and the army. This is the depths to which they sink in their trying to sell not only their lies, but the crimes